Everybody, welcome to a Friday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder, and what I'm not going to do is give y'all an introduction like Rodney Perry did yesterday on my day.
Yeah, wait a minute.
I can't do that. I can't be as hype as Rodney Perry did, but what I can do is introduce you guys to some comedians who've been in the game for a long time. They've been in comedy films, comedy specials. They've been in comedy stuff since Def Comedy Jam all the way up to the new Coming to America. That's Comedy Fig, and that's comedian known as Rodney Perry. We about to do this comedy show right now. We call Box Seats. Gentlemen, first of all, Rodney, thank you for taking and sitting in for me for the show yesterday. I appreciate y'all. It seemed like y'all had a great show without me. It was definitely an interesting one. That's for damn sure. Y'all was laughing.
We wild out. Fig had some great moments.
Yeah, he definitely did. Fig did it. But Talent he came across with a couple of butt jokes too that I was like, yeah, I had to rewind a couple of those. y'all, comics, you know what I mean? Y'all comedians do what you gotta do.
The analogies got crazy. Yeah,
it really did. Anyway, let's get ready to jump into the show. I gotta start out the show, first of all, before I jump into the COVID report. Some sad news. Tommy Lasorda, who was one of the managers from the Los Angeles Dodgers, who I'll be honest, when I was a Red Sox fan, I used to really admire this guy, you know what I mean, as being a Dodgers fan. He passed away at the age of 93. He won basically 2 World Series. He was in 4. He was always in the mix with the Dodgers. You just can't deny that he was not in the mix with the Dodgers. He always and he passed away last night. And the funny thing is he was sick. He went back home. He was home for a week, and now he's moved on. Rodney Perry, when you hear the name Tommy Lasorda, he passed away. What's your thoughts?
A name like Lasorda is synonymous with baseball, man. I mean, he's one of those guys that really shaped. When I was growing up watching baseball, Tommy Lasorda was one of those figures that was always there. And my grandmother lived to be 94, and when people live that long, it's almost like, oh, they lived a great life, but I mean, I'm sure his family will miss him, even though he lived to be 90, 93, 94 years old. So blessings to the Lasorda family, man.
Right. I know that you're old enough to remember Tommy Lasorda and his antics and everything else. It was always back then, before we had social media, before we had 1,000 channels, we had 4 or 5 channels. Lasorda was on it all the time, even though he was on the East Coast and the Midwest. He was on TV all the time. What's your thoughts when you hear about Tommy Lasorda and the icon that he is?
Lasorda is baseball royalty. He's sports royalty. Did a lot for the sport. Polarizing figure. His name is synonymous with baseball itself. Did a lot for the Dodgers, formerly the Brooklyn Dodgers, replanted in Los Angeles. I will never let go of my Dodgers, but Lasorda was just royalty, man. And my condolences to his family, because like Rodney said, even though he lived to be, lived to a ripe old age of 93 years old, he will be sorely missed, not only by his family, but by the baseball community and just people, who love sports and knew of Tommy Lasorda.
Well said. Well said. We got to keep things moving on. Like I normally have a COVID report. Today's COVID report is really interesting. The Boston Celtics just put 3 in quarantine. Robert Williams, Grant Williams, and Tristan Thompson. They all 3 are in quarantine. They won't be playing in the game tonight. Ohio State said no matter what, the championship game is going on this weekend, even though they had a couple more players pop up with COVID-19. Which is really interesting because, as you know, it's a championship game and COVID can be, it's deadly. That's not no game that you just catch a cold. And you work on and keep it moving. But, it's COVID. Seth Curry from the 76ers tested positive on the court last night during the game, had to walk out the court from after the first quarter, and then got quarantined from the rest of the team. Now, being that I'm doing the COVID report, I do it all the time. I look at some things that I see all the time and I say, every week is something that's every day, it surprises me. But when you get tested in the game floor, Rodney Perry, what's the first thing, jumps out in your mind?
I mean, it's crazy to even talk about this. And I know we always cover the COVID report, but I was on Clubhouse this morning and it was a professional football player talking about how often they're tested. And, when they're in season, they're tested like 4 or 5 times a day. They're separated from each other. like it affects everything. And so, I mean, it's a very real thing. We got to take this COVID thing seriously. But I mean, I didn't know they were testing people as they were walking on the court. It seemed like you should be good to go by the end.
No, they tested before the game, but by the time they got the results, it seemed like the result came back literally positive. And somebody said something to somebody, and then the league, the NBA, as you know, Fig,
you can have false positives with these tests, though.
Yeah, I'm not denying that, but no matter whether it's false positive or positive or true positive, how you want to call it, Fig, they pulled him out the game during the game. Now, tell me that don't shook you to the core, Fig. What you thought?
Yeah, man, that's it's surprising because you would think that that they would get the results before they let these guys out on the court. You know what I mean? That's the first thing that strikes me. And then you said with the Boston, you got two Williams and a Thompson. Those are old school names. You know what I mean? That I just think of, man, just make me think like Williams and Thompson. And these guys tested positive. Then you got the Currys. And it's just like, and no matter where you go, man, this thing is everywhere. And the strange thing about it is a new strain that's going on in America now. So now is not the time. Here's the key. Now is not the time to let your guard down. Now is the time to ramp it up and be extra cautious and extra safe. And then when you talk about the college, that scares me because these guys are not playing for a check to take care of their families. You know what I mean? These are, to me, at my age, these are college children, young men and young women. And it's just scary, man. Scary.
Now, last thing I want to say about the COVID report is that, the Browns haven't practiced all week. Like, they haven't practiced all week. All they're doing is virtual meetings and things like that. The COVID report is really hitting them because at the end of the day, you come into a big playoff game, Rodney Perry, and you literally need to at least have walkthroughs. They're getting ready to not play a playoff game first time in 18 years, and they haven't even had a walkthrough. Nobody's picking them to win. And it's really unfortunate, if you ask me. They should at least postpone the game, but the NFL's not doing that. What's your thoughts when you hear about that?
I mean, we saw this coming earlier in the season. We was like, what's going to happen when you get down the stretch of the season? There's games you can't move, and you just got to go through it. I mean, I'm on record. This is absolutely the worst season of all time, and but we got to get through it, and we got to put it behind us. So
yeah, I agree with that. Fig, I'm gonna ask you this: if this was the Kansas City Chiefs, being on the Cleveland Browns are in this situation, being that we're talking about the COVID report, I can't see the NFL treating the Kansas City Chiefs the same way. And I'm gonna go on record and say that I just can't see it because the NFL wants Patrick Mahomes to do well and continue on. They don't want to, that's their.
So you think if the Kansas City Chiefs got sick the same way, that they would do something to help them?
Yes, I do. Yes, I think they would postpone the game at least 2 or 3 days. It's not going to do nothing. Ain't going to do different. They postpone the game at least 2 or 3 days. At least let them get a walkthrough in or something else. I mean, literally, the face of the NFL was Tom Brady. It's about to be Patrick Mahomes, and they want Patrick Mahomes to do well and move on in the playoffs. If it's the Kansas City Chiefs, if you disagree, hey, everybody has their own opinion, but I'll just say right now, I think it's unfair to the city of people in Cleveland. That's what I just think. I think it's unfair. What you think?
It doesn't seem fair, but like people say, fair is a place where you judge pigs. It's unfortunate. I mean, we've done this before. They've done this before. What was it? There was a team that actually played with their 4th string quarterback or like no quarterback at all, hardly. The NFL just seems hell bent on moving forward, come hell or high water, hook or crook. It's like they're going forward with this, and they don't give a damn who you put out on the field. The thing is, the heightened part of it is that we're at the playoffs, and like you said, Cleveland has not been there in 18 years, and it seems like they have a legitimate opportunity to win a playoff game here because their team is decent enough on both sides of the ball to be able to do so. And it's really unfortunate that they're put in this position where they may not be able to get over the hump over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if they did Patrick Mahomes, they might, but somebody said something and I'm not sure. I'm going to ask you. They said what happens is if you postpone the game, what it does for next week, it makes the teams that play after it's been postponed have a short week to go into the next game. And that would be unfair too.
Yeah, either way you cut it, it's going to be unfair to somebody. But right now, it's unfair to the Cleveland Browns. It's unfair to the people involved in that franchise. It's unfair to whoever they're going to play the following week. It's just unfair either way.
Hey, but how about this, Frank? The Browns ain't about to win nothing.
Yeah, but how about this, Rodney Perry? If they had at least a chance to practice, they at least had a better chance to win.
No, they might win this game anyway, but they're not going to win the Super Bowl.
No, I know that, but come on, man. If this was Chicago Bears right now, right, and the Chicago
Bears
don't
win either.
I know, but I'm saying if it's your fan, your fan base, like you Chicago Bears fan, you would be sitting there like ticked off that first time y'all ain't even been sniffed nothing in 18 years. It's not fair. That's all.
Well, I can. You know how I can sum it up, Frank? If this was the Knicks, after all the hell we'd have been through, man, I would be. Like Lionel Richie, I'd be dancing on the ceiling, man. I'm like, come on, man, give us a shot.
Yeah, you'd be hot though, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah. I would be. I feel for Cleveland fans.
Yeah, I'd be hot. I'd just be hot as me. But I'm Cleveland fan. I still looking at it from the outside and looking at it like it ain't fair. But anyway, I want to keep things rolling on and everything else. So here's the thing. DeShaun Watson, right? DeShaun Watson is definitely a franchise quarterback. DeShaun Watson is a 4-year, $160 million quarterback. He just signed last year. He re-upped for somewhat of a max contract deal. Word leaked out that DeShaun Watson made it purposely leak out. He talked to a friend who talked to a friend. He's not happy with what the GM had did, with the GM hiring, with what management did. He's not happy with that. Now let's look at it like this. Here's the thing. The management hired Nick Caserio from the New England Patriots. Nick Caserio's been with the New England Patriots for 18, 19 years. You know what I mean? That the management and everybody else ownership did not consult him. They are looking right now, talking about hiring Urban Meyer as a coach. They didn't discuss nothing with him right now. Rodney Perry, the chances of DeShaun Watson literally being in a Texan uniform at the beginning of next scene, I think, is slim to none. And I'm going to give you my Pelican brief really quickly. But what's your thought process? What you think?
I mean, where you gonna go? I mean, he got a big fat contract. You know, I understand him being upset, but he ain't going nowhere. I mean, he got a deal. A deal is a deal. He can't go nowhere. His deal is too big. I mean, don't get me wrong, we'll take him in Chicago all day, but they're not gonna let him go nowhere. It is what it is. He better get over it and stop crying and play some football.
Vic, what's your thoughts? You hear DeShaun Watson right now is unhappy. He's ready to put management out. Management's unhappy with him. The bottom line is this. He's not happy with anything that they're doing. It started with DeAndre Hopkins leaving. What's your thoughts?
You know, the people that the organization hired are some names that could get you pretty excited about what has transpired, even though they did not consult him. The fact that they didn't consult their franchise quarterback is that's a little concerning to me, because this is supposed to be a guy, and I feel a little suspect the fact that they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, which is probably arguably top 3 receiver in the NFL. I'm trying to wrap my mind around the decision to be able to do something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this kid said, well, he did sort of say that he won out. I'm not surprised at that. And, you know, with the deficit of quarterbacks in the NFL, maybe they will let him go. I don't know, but I think there's a lot of teams that'd be willing to take him. It's not the NBA.
All right, let's look at it like this. The Bears, the Colts, 49ers, and the Saints are all teams right now who could fit having DeShaun Watson on their team.
Don't leave out the Jets.
No, I'm not. The reason why I didn't say the Jets was I'll get to them in a second. But the Bears, the Colts, the 49ers, and the Saints literally are the teams that can make moves for him right now because of cap space, because of where they position. I didn't mention the Jets because of a certain reason why, because the Jets have the number 2 pick, and they also have 20-something picks coming up in the next 2 years. So the Jets probably won't make the deal for him for that. Not that they won't. They probably, financially, it's a different situation for them. You know what I mean? So I guess the thing is to you. Here's my Pelican brief. I'm going to start out with my Pelican brief, all right?
Let's hear this.
Nick Caserio came from the New England Patriots. Nick Caserio is going to offer up the first biggest deal to the Patriots first. I don't think he's going to land at the Patriots. I don't think he's going to land there. And I'll tell you why.
DeShaun Watson.
Huh?
You said Watson end up on the Patriots uniform?
No, I'm saying Watson is not going. Nick Caserio is going to reach out to the Patriots. We're going to hear about the Patriots, and with DeShaun Watson for a little bit. But I think Nick Caserio is going to ask for too much because Nick Caserio left the New England Patriots because he wasn't as happy as he could be with New England, so he left there. You know what I mean? My Pelican brief is going to be that since the Bears have a lot to offer him, and if the Bears are one quarterback away from being in championship, basically conversations, I think they land DeShaun Watson. Now, I'm going to ask the Bears fan on the panel, what you think, Rodney Perry?
Hey, again, I would love to see it. I would love to see DeShaun Watson in uniform. I would hope that they would get somebody to really protect him. But how about this? If you don't get no bona fide people, wide receivers, he already proved he can't function in a system like that. So you lose Hopkins. It's the same difference. You go to Chicago. So I'd say stay where you are. If you're DeShaun Watson, stay there and lobby for a world-class receiver.
Yeah, but Rodney Perry, the Bears have a great defense led by Khalil Mack, and at least they could be in some games. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it.
I hear you, but don't they still need a wide receiver? Like this guy has proven that he needs somebody to throw to. If you can stretch the field, he's even more deadly. He can throw the ball down in the length of the field. If you don't have a guy that he can get it to, it's moot.
Yeah, well, I'll say this for the record. The Chicago Bears have some type of stuff that they could at least trade for and get a wide receiver. And if not, they can at least get one in the draft. But it's not too far-fetched for them to think that. So, Fig, I'm going to throw it up to you. And I'll even one up and say this. I'll say Khalil Mack leads the Chicago Bears defense. Chicago Bears has DeShaun Watson. Imagine being in the NFC and you have to face in a cold area. You got to face the Chicago Bears being led with DeShaun Watson. Tell me that ain't scary.
That is scary, man. That is scary, but at the end of the day, you could be jumping from the frying pan into the fire if you don't have the requisite pieces to help you win. I mean, why would he do that? You know what I mean? Like Rodney said, if you don't have any receivers, like why would you do that? Why would you leave a warm climate to go to a cold climate with no receivers on, either team? Mm-hmm. I think that he would be in a better position going somewhere where he would just have some weapons and somebody that either has the cap space or the picks to be able to trade for him so that they would be able to do it. A couple of places, one of the places that you named that sounds absolutely fantastic is San Francisco. Woo! Could you imagine DeShaun Watson in San Francisco or another team? But I know they got Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's on his last leg. He's not going to be there for 5 years.
Right.
If he was in a place like Tampa, woo, with all of those weapons, wow.
It would be scary.
Brady's going to at least do 3 years. He's not going to be Brady's backup.
Not only that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have no money. They spent all their money right now with the team they have now. So DeShaun Watson, that's not going to happen at all. But I will say
49ers is a good look, though.
Well, 49ers would be great, and the Colts would be great because Colts indoor, too. You know what I mean? But the Bears, like I said, the Bears, the Colts, the 49ers, the Saints, those are some great places to be at. But here's the thing. It's about to be a quarterback carousel. No matter how you look at it, it's going to be Deshaun Watson now has pushed his name in the mix to be for a quarterback carousel. So I'm going to ask you guys this. You got Carson Wentz, you got Dak Prescott, you got Sam Darnold, you got Mitch Trubisky, you got Daniel Jones, and now you got Deshaun Watson. Now, Rodney Perry, I'm going to ask you for the record right now. Do you see all those players landing up on the same teams they were on now, or do you see okay, so who do you see moving from Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott?
Trubisky done. Wentz is done.
Mhm.
I mean, this whole thing with DeShaun Watson ended up somewhere is really something to really give us something to talk about. But who else are we talking about?
Sam Darnold or the Jets.
You got Sam Darnold, Mitch Trubisky, Daniel Jones. You got Carson Wentz. You got
Daniel Jones too.
Daniel Jones is going to be one of those guys who's going to possibly be out there too because of what's going to happen.
I think Darnold. I think the Jets should really try to keep Darnold. Man, that guy's good. You know. But as far as Watson being in that mix, he's probably going to end up somewhere else. But I think it's not going to be any better of a situation.
So, Roddy, you sound like you was yelling all night last night, man. But I'm gonna ask Fig.
I don't know it. I lost my voice this morning. I don't know what's going on.
He catching the cold. Fig, he's catching that thing. You know what I'm saying? So wait, Fig, what you think? You got a quarterback carousel right here. Do you think they all going to be the same? Do you think somebody's leaving?
I don't think they all stay. I think I think Rodney, myself, and Talent, we spoke about this yesterday with possibly Sam Darnold getting up out of New York. Mitchell Trubisky, I could see him getting up out of there. And DeShaun Watson, man, with the way that the organization is treating him, I can see him wanting out. My only thing is that I don't know if NFL players have the same level of power to be moved like they would, if they were in the NBA. So that's the only pause that I get. But according to the way that they treat it, first off, the fact that they just got rid of D-Hop, that would make me want to get out of there alone. You know what I mean? Because something about that still to this day just doesn't make any sense to me. I can't wrap my mind around that. Like,
right.
Nothing about that makes sense to me. This guy is top 3 receivers in the NFL. How do you get rid of that dude? That doesn't make any sense.
Honestly, Fig, they about to do it again too, because I promise you, DeShaun Watson is going to be out of there too.
I don't blame him, man. The fact that I'm a quarterback, you got rid of the best receiver on the team and a top 3 receiver in the NFL, I'd want to get out of there too, because what are you doing to me? What are you saying? What are you saying that you care about me and my career? Whatever was going on with D-Hop and that organization, they needed to work that out and fix it for the betterment of the organization and the betterment of the team, because you're not putting your best team on the field if you traded a player like D-Hop. That makes no sense to me. He wasn't a cancer in the locker room.
You affect their money too, because they all get paid by how they perform on the field.
Exactly.
They all get
paid. And maybe, I think a lot of times these rich owners underestimate a guy's contribution, right? So it's like, yeah, he's good, but we can find another one. But you can't just find another game-changing guy. And I think they're finding that out now.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Because sometimes when you think you got a game-changer guy, you open up your package and you got Ryan Leaf. You know what I mean? You sit there, like, you all know Ryan Leaf was the biggest touted, one of the biggest touted quarterbacks. Everybody thought he was the second coming of John Elway, and that dude didn't last not even 1 year in the NFL.
And man, let me tell you something: leaves wither and fall off the branches, and they die.
Yeah, and
I don't know why he would go out and get a leaf. You see, they fall every year.
And that's what happened to him. That's exactly what happened to him.
They got a leaf blower.
Yeah. This is a family show. All right, let me ask the next question. Rodney Perry, I'm gonna start out with you. Urban Meyer has been talked about a lot to be getting a college coach as a college coach to get into an NFL position, and so hasn't Jim Harbaugh. Now, if you are an NFL team and you got $1 billion franchise and you're looking at Urban Meyer and you're looking at Jim Harbaugh, who would you pick? Urban Meyer has been doing work and Jim Harbaugh has been doing horribly in Michigan. So who would you get?
I mean, how about this? Aren't there enough black coaches out there to give one of them a shot? But you're going to go dig up a loser in Michigan in Harbaugh or Urban Meyer that's 1,000 years old. It's just crazy to me, But if one of them get a shot, I think it'll be Harbaugh. I mean, in my man in Michigan, I think he'll get a shot, another shot at the NBA franchise.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes perfect sense, and I'm gonna say why, Fig. I think Harbaugh is the dude because he took the 49ers to the Super Bowl when he had Colin Kaepernick. What's your thought process,
Man, you took the words right out of my mouth, Frank. I mean, Urban Meyer, I think, if I'm not mistaken, has been known to have some health issues and can hardly stay on the sideline that much. When you're in college, it really comes down to recruiting and who gets the best players, you know what I mean, to come to their organization, to their university is the one that wins. So I'm not going to blame the fails of the team on Jim Harbaugh's coaching ability. And the fact that Jim Harbaugh is already been extremely successful in the NFL, he would be my selection, because you see what he did when he had Kaepernick and they went to the dance, you know what I mean? And I'd be willing to give him another shot. I'd give him the reins, you know what I mean? And see what it is that he could do.
Now, what you just said makes perfect sense. Harbaugh's the man. He took an unknown team at the time that had literally Colin Kaepernick. Nobody even knew who he was, and he brought them in the Super Bowl conversation. Because I remember those years, man. Especially, I remember when San Francisco came in with Colin Kaepernick and beat New England in New England on a Monday night, and not just beat them, smacked them up. You know what I mean? Right. And that was Jim Harbaugh. Let's be honest. Let's tell the truth. So he was able to do it. But let's continue on the conversation, because I think, honestly, speaking, since we're talking about college coaches, I mean, and NFL coaches, let's talk about Bruce Arians, okay? I want to throw out there a Pelican brief, okay? I want y'all to follow me, all right?
Here we go.
Hey, yo, you're going to remember this day. Fig, you too, you're going to remember this day. Here's the thing. I'm saying right now on the record, if Bruce Arians loses this week, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they lose to Washington, or if they lose the following week, no matter of fact, I'll even say it as far as this. If they don't win the Super Bowl, Bruce Arians will get fired, and then Tom Brady will literally be able to whisper in somebody else's ear, and he will bring the offensive coordinator from New England Patriots, Josh McDaniels, down there and be a head coach who has had head coach experience, because he used to coach the Denver Broncos. And since him and Tom Brady are on the same page, and he likes the way he play calls, I think he will be the next coach if Bruce Arians fails. Rodney Perry, you tell me if I'm crazy, what you think, and is Bruce Arians on the hot seat if they don't win? What's your thought?
I like to be the first one to call your Pelican briefs a pile of Pelican poop, but it's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched at all. It could happen. Tom Brady seems like he's not really feeling this offensive scheme, and the easy fix is to get one of his guys from the New England world. So I think that's more than within the realm of things that make sense.
Okay, so he said my Pelican brief makes sense. What you think? I don't know. You talking about Tom Brady whispering in another man's ear. I don't know what Giselle is going to say about that, man. But I don't know, man. Listen, man, Arians seems to be a live wire, man. You know, he's like off the cuff with his comments after the game and stuff like that, throwing players under the bus. Arians' style is a little old school, you know what I mean, and boisterous. He's out there, you know what I mean, like some of the old school quarterbacks. But Tom Brady, the organization gave him the ability to bring in players. Now the ability to bring in a coach. Are you talking about Tom Brady has the same cachet in the NFL like LeBron James does in the NBA? Because we know that LeBron James has the ability to say who he wants to be, you know, coach or whatever, or other players on the team. I didn't realize that Tom Brady had that kind of cachet. And he may have it if he was younger, but I'm just surprised that he might have it at, you know, such an age.
Fig, let me tell you, he has that cachet because he got them to bring in Antonio Brown when nobody wanted to. So
that's what I was alluding to.
Yeah, he got that if he wants to. There's no way else.
You got Mike Evans who's a bit hobble right now, so he needed a deep threat, and now he had it.
Yeah, and he put all his marbles to the middle right now to win now. They're not trying to win, you know, next year or the year after. They only got short contracts for Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans is running out with his contract. Like, they got to do some stuff now. So if they don't do it now, and Tom Brady's 43, about to be 44, they got to win now.
Wow.
It's now or never.
That's right. They got to win now, like right now. But speaking of winning right now, let's talk about Lamar Jackson. I mentioned it a couple times. I said, is Lamar Jackson in trouble if they don't win? Because let's look at it like this. If Lamar Jackson loses, he'll be 0-3. But let's say this. Let's say they beat Tennessee, but they don't win the Super Bowl. So Rodney Perry, I'm gonna ask you this: if Lamar Jackson at least beats Tennessee and they at least move on, but they lose before they get to the Super Bowl, is the season still considered a success, or is it down the tubes? Are they upset?
I mean, I'm sure they're upset because everybody's goal at the beginning of the season, the Super Bowl or bust. But the dig with Mr. Jackson is that he doesn't perform in clutch situations. If he goes out there this weekend and he's clutch, that gives you another a reprieve, so to speak. It gives him a chance for people to go, hey, at least the guy was clutch. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but he's clutch, and so he needs that. And he definitely cannot lose this weekend.
All right. Well, you heard what he said, Fig. So what you think, man?
I think that's sad. I think it's a sad. I'm not saying that it's not true. I think the commentary itself is sad, man. Because listen. Let's go back. Let's go down the list of names. Let's go down to the Marinos. Let's go down to the Aaron Rodgers, the Drew Brees, all of these quarterbacks that have been in the NFL for multiple years and possibly have one or none of a Super Bowl win. And we're talking about Lamar Jackson, who is in his third year in the NFL, and we're talking about it's win or bust. It's just like too much pressure on a young quarterback to win as so soon in the NFL. This instant society that we're in, where everything is microwave and pre-packaged, just seems to work against the quarterbacks of color. It doesn't seem fair. I mean, it's too much pressure too soon.
What do you think about what you just said?
Say that again?
No, I'm saying Rodney Perry. What do you think about what Fig just said?
I think this, man. This is the problem. This is the flaw in the argument, and it's not a bad argument, first of all. But you also looking at Patrick Mahomes, who's also a black quarterback, who also came in and won, and he was not as touted as Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was like, a dead-eye passer, and he could run the ball. They was looking for Lamar Jackson to be this guy. And Baltimore was looking.
Listen, there's only one Magic Johnson. There's only one Michael Jordan.
True.
And there's only one Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. You got all of these great quarterbacks. Listen, how about Peyton Manning, one of the greatest that ever did it? Peyton Manning he didn't win right away. He was in the NFL for years, and we knew that Peyton Manning was that dude.
But hear me out though. Go ahead, Frank. I'm sorry.
I just want to say this one thing, and then I'll let you go, Rodney. You got to look at this too, Fig. Lamar Jackson hasn't won anything like right now. You know what I mean? He hasn't got there in the playoffs to win anything. You named some players who have at least gotten the playoffs and they've won 1 or 2 games.
But how long? But this is Lamar Jackson's third year. How long did it take those other players to get to where Lamar Jackson got to? And it's only his third year in the NFL. I mean, all I'm saying is,
you're right,
is to give the young man time to grasp the game fully, to where he has a full understanding of it. This is his third year, and he's already won the MVP. I'm just saying, give a man a little time before we start throwing him away on the trash heap. It's like black quarterbacks get 3 to 5 years, and then they're no good.
No, but unfortunately, the NFL, they don't care like that right now. They got to win money now because it's a cash business, right, Rodney? I mean, do you agree with this?
I don't know if I'm buying into the whole money thing. I'm saying the guy is up against like his contemporaries. Like if you look at the grander scheme of the NFL, you're right, Fig. Like this guy should have in the grander scheme of football, he probably will take another 3 years to mature, right? But he's up against a guy that came in the league with him that's won a Super Bowl already. So the barometer has changed.
But think about this. The only thing I'm saying is, tell me the white quarterback that we talking about like Lamar Jackson. What's his name?
Daniel Jones. Sam, the guy plays for
Daniel Jones. We're not talking about Daniel Jones being out of the league.
Forget the white quarterback. I'm not saying out of the league. I'm saying he needs to win.
We got to win now. Look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen came in the league with Lamar Jackson. They get ready to have a shot at the Super Bowl. So it's not. I don't think it's a color thing. Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills.
Oh, Buffalo Bills. Okay.
Yeah, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson was drafted
I'm talking about the
same.
All right. Well, what about the Baker Mayfields? Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson is in the same thing. We talk about Baker Mayfield being tossed aside too.
No, but see, the question isn't
tossed. Franchise different situation.
No, the question isn't tossed aside. The question is pressure. The question really originally was: do you think that Lamar Jackson's season would be considered a success if they just win this week? And if they don't, is it considered still a success? I think if he at least wins this week, it is. Baltimore ain't getting rid of Lamar Jackson. No, he's the future.
It's a winning. Listen, I think in the NFL, which is probably the most difficult sport to win,
yeah,
I think if you have a winning season, it's successful. I think that basically the pressure seems to be a little heightened on Lamar Jackson because of his individual ability and talent. They're expecting that to be able to go, all the way to the
absolutely right. Huh?
We all got hung up on what I said at the top, which is, at the top of the season, it's either win a Super Bowl or it's a failed season. And that's just true of every team.
Yeah, but also it makes it worse, too, when you win the MVP and you have your team at the top seed for the whole season like he did last year. And then you got your boys on the press conferences, they talking trash and they dance and they doing all – you know what I mean? That's what makes it worse because then the white folks are going to – I thought it's a white or black thing. I shouldn't say white folks. Folks overall are going to look at you and say, dude, you said this. You said that. You need to bring and show and prove. But speaking of showing –
let me just say this last thing and then we move on. At the end of the day, what I want to say is – who's beating Patrick Mahomes? That's all I want to say. Who's beating that guy?
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, that's why they play the game. People used to say the same thing about Peyton Manning.
I like Lamar Jackson. They're not going to get rid of him. They're not going to get rid of him. They can't get rid of him, and they shouldn't get rid of him, but he needs to show a clutch gene right now.
Yeah, he sure does. But since we're talking about people who are who need to be clutch and certain type of players, let's talk about the Kyrie Irving drama right now because Kyrie Irving, when I saw this news, man, I thought
What'd he do, Frank? What'd he do?
You don't know. He missed last night's game, and for personal reasons, he didn't join the team on the road trip. And when they asked the coach what the reason was right before the game, 3 minutes before the game, the coach had no idea. He don't even know when Kyrie Irving is coming back. Now, I'm gonna ask you, Rodney Perry. I'm gonna ask you right now. I said we know we treat. And especially in the NBA, they treat certain players better than the other players. That's just how it is. They even do it in the NFL. They do it in baseball. They do it in basically all the sports. But certain times it could be detrimental to your team. What you think about when you hear this about Kyrie Irving doing what he's doing right now to the New Jersey Nets?
It makes me think of being an actor, right? When you're on a movie set, they give you a call sheet, and the person that's number one on the call sheet get to call some shots, right? Kyrie ain't number one on the call sheet. KD is, right? So KD is number one on the call sheet. Kyrie need to sit down and not be a problem, And I don't know if he's maybe injured, if they're masking something else. I don't know. But for the coach to go, I don't know what's up with this guy, that's a problem.
Yeah, I think it's a serious problem. But let me ask Fig. Fig, you've been having your eye on the Brooklyn Nets for a long time. You've been you've been really looking at it more than all of us. And when you hear this, we did talk about something like this would happen during this. Did we not? We had this conversation. So what's your thoughts when you hear about this Kyrie Irving drama?
Listen, past discretions is not a guarantee of future actions, but it'll give you pause. Kyrie seemed to have an issue in Cleveland, Boston. Now he's on the Nets. He had a situation, last year. Now this year is very young. I think we're under 10 games into the season, and it already seems to be something. People laughed at the New York Knicks organization, which the story came out and said that they wanted KD and Kyrie, but they did not want Kyrie as the head or the leader of their organization for a year while they waited to see if KD was going to be healthy and what he was going to do when he came back. So he passed, and I think that's how they ended up in Brooklyn. I think that's the story. This seems to be a major problem in the sense because why doesn't your coach know what's happening? That's where the drama is right there.
That's
if your
the problem.
coach doesn't know, which is supposed to be the boss of your team, that seems to be a major problem.
Now imagine that happening with Pat Riley or either one of you.
No.
It would never happen.
Exactly. You see my point? Imagine if that's Pat Riley that ain't doing. I mean, you go down the list, Popovich, certain coaches, that's just not happening. So Steve Nash is still not getting the respect that he's supposed to deserve, right? He's just not getting it. So I think I think he can be disruptive on the team. Let me talk about Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi Leonard said some certain things last night too, and this is kind of interesting. He said he is up to be playing more back-to-back games, and he will be willing to do whatever he can do to make the team win. Now, my thing is, why didn't you say that last year, bro? Why didn't you do that last year? Why you got to do that now this year? But when you hear that, Rodney Perry, what you think?
Hey man, the load management whole concept is really kind of making it where these guys are being scrutinized a little too much, I think. And so I think load management works. I think these guys have to play too many games, and because of that, you get less quality basketball in the playoffs. And so Kawhi, forget it. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna do what I got to do. And I've been keeping an eye on it to see how it plays out, man. It's really interesting to me.
I think it's interesting too, like Rodney Perry said. But Fig, I know this disgusts you when you hear this, because you old school. Like it disgusts you. What's your thoughts?
It is, man, because the thing is, there's one of the things that I talk about when I talk about this is like the fans. Like, when you go to individual cities, fans getting an opportunity to see you play. Because of COVID, that is not a sticking point this year. But the problem is that when you take players of today and you compare them to yesterday's players and talk about this one is greater or that one is greater, and these players they have a different rules, they flop, different defense, and on top of that, they load manage, and then you want to compare them to other players. It just doesn't add up for me. The players, the players of old school, they played 82 games. If you were healthy, you played 82 games. If you were healthy, there was no such thing as load managing. You played 82 games.
They didn't load manage, but they didn't play 80 games. They played 70 games.
It's 80. It's 82. It's 82 games in a regular season.
No, that's only been like that for the last 15 years.
That's what I'm talking about.
Is it 20?
It's an 82-game season.
Last 20-something years. They
Michael Jordan played 71 games.
Yeah.
We got 10 more games since then.
No, what I'm trying
to listen. Makes a difference.
No, Michael Jordan was playing 82 games, Rodney.
Yeah.
Toward the end of his career, but
he was playing. That when Michael Jordan got to the NBA, it was an 82 game season. I looked it up
last week. He would play 71 games.
Maybe if he was injured, he wouldn't doing no load management.
No, it wasn't load management.
No, he's saying
all the games. I'm saying
it was 71 games.
Less games.
Yeah, they didn't play that many less games, Rodney. But we'll talk about. We'll look it up.
Right, because to add, this year is only 72 games in this season.
Right. So it's not 82. So it's less. We'll look it up. We'll look it up. But Fig, you ready for your segment, man? The top dog segment? Because I gotta get
no doubt, man. Yes. I stay ready now.
I gotta get the top dog segment in with that today, man. Because
ladies and gentlemen, our top dogs for the week, and believe me, it's been a hell of a ride. This is the last week for the NFL. You know what I mean? Regular season. So the top dogs of this season, last week of the NFL, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going with my number one. Well, no particular order. Number one on the top dogs, ladies and gentlemen, I got to give it to the man, the double A, Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay versus Chicago, 35-16. Aaron Rodgers put it down, 240 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He is better known as that bad man. Aaron Rodgers, baby. He's just putting it down still at such a late in his years. Number 2 on this list, ladies and gentlemen, I got to give it to another senior statesman in the NFL, Tampa Tom. It's Tom Brady. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Brady of the Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons, 44-27. He put it on them. Now, what makes this surprising, ladies and gentlemen, It's the second time that they played the Atlanta Falcons in like 3 weeks, which is very difficult to do. My man Tom Brady put down 399 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and baby, he's just getting it done at 43 years old. Let's hear from my man Tom Brady. I got to give it for my seniors, baby. Love my seniors. Number 3 on the list, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first time that I put this man's name down. First time making the top dog. Jonathan Taylor, running back of the Indianapolis Colts over the Jacksonville Jags, rushing for 253 yards and 2 touchdowns in a win, 28-14. Double them up, baby. Double. You got 14. I see your 14, and I raised you 14. 28-14 was the score. Jonathan Taylor running all over the Jacksonville Jags. This man is a regular staple in the top dogs, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Henry. Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans. You're going to remember the Titans, baby. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're going to remember the Titans when Derrick Henry is on the field. Derrick Henry versus the Houston Texans, rushing for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a man amongst boys, ladies and gentlemen. The Tennessee Titans beat the Houston Texans 41-38. It was a close game. Derrick Henry this year has run for over 2,000 yards. That's a milestone, ladies and gentlemen. There's not that many running backs that get a 2,000-yard season. Let's hear it for Derrick Henry. I like the way he put it down. Last but not least, on the top dog list, we're going to switch sports, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to the NBA for this last top dog, and I'm going to give it to the light-skinned baby assassin, ladies and gentlemen, giving it to my man, Mr. Steph Curry, the babyface assassin, that's right, of the Golden State Warriors over the Portland Trailblazers. This man actually scored 62 points in a game, in a win over the Portland Trailblazers, which is no slouch team, and they won 137-122, giving it to that babyface assassin, my man, Mr. Steph Curry. And that's the top dogs for the week. And if you like top dogs, let me hear you bark out there.
I can always count on Fig to give you some time. I like that, Fig. I like that. All right, y'all, let's get ready to continue on. We got to keep the show moving on. And since it's NFL playoff weekend, we got to pick our picks. Now, you know what we could do? We could post who won before we go to who won everything and everything else. Who won the whole?
Yeah. The game is over.
Yeah. Who won the whole thing? Fig?
Man, this is it's hard for me to say this, but I actually won the whole thing this time. Hey, listen, and you know what? Last week, man, I picked the Cowboys to beat the Giants. And the Giants broke their foot off and the Cowboys behind, or I would have had this has been my perfect week. I got 15 last week. Stacks got 14. Taylor ended up with 11. Frank, you got 13 last week. 13 wins. Rodney got 10. Grand total, 131 for Rodney, 135 for Frank, 143 for Talent, 145 for Stacks, and I ended up with 149. And I actually won the whole thing. Now, listen, I know that seems a little suspect, but I got every single paper. Hey, Rodney,
we got to see.
I got evidence.
How the man who kept the score that ended up winning.
I got evidence. I got evidence, people. I kept every single week, and I wrote it down.
Yeah, I never challenge your honesty. You know.
Yeah, I ain't challenging it. I know it's legit. You know, I know it's legit.
Hey, I'm just glad Stack didn't win.
Yes, me too. That's all I think. Stack didn't win.
You know what? Can I give you a personal story? You know what I used to do? I was one of them kids in high school, man. I used to cut class a lot. But when I went to class, I paid very close attention, and I knew what was going on. And when there was a test, some of my friends would come to me and say, yo, man, there's a test today. So I'd show up on test day, and I'd pass it. And they used to piss my teachers off because I used to pass the test after being a chronic cutter, I think, habitually absent is what they used to call.
All right, y'all want to do some NFL pick for the weekend?
Let's go.
All right. I got the Colts playing.
Oh, wait. Are we calling this another game? The playoffs?
Is this another? Are we starting over?
I think the playoffs should be a start over.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what I was doing. We're starting over, not adding on.
Okay.
All right, we're starting on.
So so the regular season is over, and going into the playoffs is like a separate season.
Right.
Okay. So I got fresh 0-0.
Yeah, 0-0, and we're gonna have James Sokoloff in Philly to do an audit check on your.
Hey, you know, we should also do a Super Bowl pick right now or next week, to begin next week, a closed pick. One pick to win the Super Bowl.
One pick to win the whole thing? Okay, we can do that next week. Let's do that.
I like that.
Next week. All right, Buffalo's playing the Colts. I got Buffalo. Who you got, Vic?
I got Buffalo.
Who you got, Rodney?
Buffalo.
The Seattle's playing LA, and LA ain't even got their quarterback. So I think
what? LA don't have their quarterback?
Jeff Goff got his finger hurt. You know what I mean? Even if he plays, his fingers, it is his thumb.
Oh, so his thumb. So
he's gonna have the ball. So I got Seattle against that one. Who you got, Vic?
I'll take Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. I was gonna pick Seattle anyway.
Now the next game, Tampa Bay versus Washington. If there's an upset this weekend, not on the record, but I would say off the record, I would say Washington could upset Tampa Bay because Mike Evans is injured. The offensive line is kind of shaky. You know, a couple other wide receivers got some nicks and scraps and everything else right now on the Tampa Bay side. But if I had to put money on it, I'm going with Tampa Bay. How about you, Fig?
Yeah, man, I like Tampa Bay in this one because is Claude Douglas-Helaire there? No, that's it. Never mind.
No, he's in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Kansas City, yeah, that's another team. But I like. Listen, I'm going with the GOAT, man. I'm going with Tom Brady to be able to pull it out because Washington, they not that good, and their quarterback got one leg.
Rodney, how about you?
I say Tom Brady wills these guys past them no matter what.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Tampa.
Tom Brady gonna make sure they get out of that wild card round. I agree with that one. Baltimore Ravens against Tennessee Titans. This is going to be the shaky game. I'm gonna be rooting for Baltimore all day. I think Tennessee's gonna take it though. Rodney, what you think? Who you got?
I'm going with the Ravens, man. I really want. It's emotional pick. That's why I'm losing the season.
Me too. But I really want the Ravens to win. But I think Tennessee's gonna do it. What you think, Fig?
Wait a minute, is that who you picking, Frank?
Yeah, I'm
picking Tennessee.
I'm picking Tennessee. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the game of the week, if you ask me.
You know what? I've been a guy who bet with my heart instead of my head. But I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna go with Baltimore, man. I want Baltimore to win, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my.
It's a must win.
Yeah,
DeShaun Watson. Not DeShaun Watson, but for it's a must win.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I want them to win, so I'm gonna pick him. I'm gonna pick Lamar over Derrick Henry. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, yeah. The Bears are playing the Saints. I think the Saints is gonna smash them. I don't even think it's gonna be close. That's what I think. What you think? What you think, Bears? I mean, Rodney Perry.
I'm gonna take the Bears because if they win, I know I'm gonna be the only one that pick them.
Yeah, you're right. How about you, Fig?
I got to go with who that dare say they gonna beat them there Saints.
That's right. And this next game is the COVID game. I call it because the Browns are playing Pittsburgh, and we've been talking about the Browns all week. They ain't have no playoff. I mean, they ain't had no practice, they had no walkthrough, no offensive coaches, no head coach. Nothing. They going into the game like a high school team playing against the NFL pro team. So I think you're crazy if you pick the Browns. But hey, I have lost. So Rodney, who you got?
I mean, didn't the Browns win the last game?
In the last two games.
Yeah, but a lot of the Steelers players wasn't playing.
Yeah, exactly. So who you got?
I'm taking the Browns. Forget it.
Okay. What
about you? Man, I'm going with Fat Burger, Roethlisberger, man, because I was going to pick them anyway. Tomlin, Burger. These guys have been there, done that. And, Baker Mayfield going against Pittsburgh is pretty much a rookie. This is his third season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't matter.
I'm going with the experience over the young gun.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't care how you slice it. If Pittsburgh lose this game, this would probably be one of their worst losses of all.
It really would be. This would be historical. Who did you pick though, Frank? Did you pick
Pittsburgh.
You picked Pittsburgh. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I picked Pittsburgh. All right, y'all. That's the show.
What already?
Yep. Talent is going to be back next week. We missed him today. Talent's on the road traveling. That brother's working. Roddy, you gonna be somewhere this weekend? You want to shout it out?
No, I'll be home, man. I started losing my voice just this morning, but so I didn't realize until I started talking to y'all. It was bad. So I'm gonna get some rest, man, and we'll work. I'll be in Jackson, Mississippi, for King Weekend though.
Okay, all right. And Fake.
Hey, let me tell you where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be right here in my house with my box seats cup, and I ain't going nowhere because my wife comes home and she off this weekend. We're gonna fry some chicken, man. That's what we're gonna fry some chicken.
That ain't no family show right there.
Yeah, but this is a family show. Let's do that. Rodney, hope you feel better, brother. Okay, we get ready to roll the show out. This is a show called The Box Seats. See y'all Monday from 1 to 2. Of course, this is the show called The Box Seats on the Humor Mill channel. And of course, you can download the app, The Humor Mill. You could even call your friend, tell your friends to download the app. You can call your cable service provider and tell them to add the channel. Next week, we're going to have some guests. We got to get some guests in here because we got to talk about the NFL playoffs. It definitely picks up, you know what I mean? It intensifies. I'm looking forward to seeing just this, wild card weekend, 12 teams, never happened. I'm looking forward to this. Can't wait.
Lovely.
Until then, we'll see y'all, of course, Monday at 1 o'clock, the same bat time, and of course, the same bat channel.
Go next.